Are we live? It's sound. It's sound. Okay, we are good. Okay, so today we are going to learn how to solve this simple array sum in Kotlin. The problem statement states, given an array of integers, find the sum of its elements. For example, if the array AR equals 1 to 3, usually this is the representation of an array in square brackets. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6, so our function will return 6. The function description complete the simple array sum function in the editor below, so this function here. It must return the sum of the array elements as an integer. Simple array sum has the following parameters: AR, an array of integers, we have it here. The input format, the first line contains an integer n, denoting the size of the array. So all of this thing is done already automatically for us here on this part. We don't have to do anything. And the second line contains n separated integers representing the array's elements. The constraints is that each element is between 0 and 1000. The output format will be print the sum of the array's elements as a single integer. So if the sample input is 6, because we have 6 numbers, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 11, the sample output is 31. So you cannot see because my face is actually covering this, but if I move it to the side, if I put it here in the middle, you see, or here at the corner, you see that that the sample output is 31, and explanation it's because we print the sum of the array's element. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 10 plus 11 equals 31. So this is a simple example that you will use over and over again in different situations, not to sum, but to just work with arrays in general. So basically an array is a sequence of elements. In this case, they are integers, so they have type int in Kotlin, and the structure itself, in this case it's called the data structure, it's called an array, and it's represented by this array in Kotlin. I will increase the size a little bit. And here what you have to do is to first start with a variable that will hold the neutral element of the operation. In this case it's 0, so we start with 0. We can say var result equals 0. And then of course at the end we will return our result. And here in between, I'll just give some spaces just to make it more clear. We need to iterate over this array. So this is like a for loop. This is what you will use most of the time. So, and the syntax is like this: you write for, and then you write let's say n in AR. So this means for each number in this array, and it will iterate over these elements. So in this case, for example, let's scroll up. You have here 1, 2, 3. First n will be 1, and then it will execute whatever is in between these braces, and then it will become 2, and then it will become 3. So in this example here at the bottom, our n will successively be 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, and 11. So our result will equal, so, and this equals is not equals in the mathematical sense that they are equal to each other. It means to assign whatever we put here on the right will be stored in this variable. So you can imagine that this var, so var means variable. You can imagine that it's like a box where you will store something, and what you will do is you will do some calculation and you store the result here. So in this case, it will equal to whatever was inside result before, which of course will start at 0, plus our number n. So what will happen here is first result is 0, and then n will be 1 in the case of this example. So result will equal result, which is 0, plus 1, and then 0 plus 1, which is 1, will be stored in result. And then this will go back to the top, and then n will become 2, because that's the second element. And then result will equal result, which is 1, plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3, so 3 will be stored in result, and this will repeat over and over until we reach the end of this array AR. And then after we finish, we return the result. There is another way to do this, but first I will show you that this works. Let's run the code. Congratulations, it works. Another way to do this is to, instead of using result equals result plus n, because this is so common, there's actually a shorter way for you to write this. So another way to write this, every time that you have variable equals that variable plus something, what you can do is instead of saying result plus, you put the plus here and you delete this. So result plus equals n is exactly the same as what we had before, result plus n. So the one we just ran, we passed the test, and now I will also show you that this one also works. So I'll run the code again, and it will also pass. In the case of Kotlin, so different languages have different ways of doing things. In Kotlin, there's also another way, if I'm not mistaken, would be something like this. So return ar.sum. I think this is a function, maybe sum AR. Maybe it's not available here, but I think there is something already in the standard library of Kotlin that already does this. But this is why it's important for you to know, for example, if we would change to Python that we used on our last stream when I was with my friend streaming. So in Python, we could do exactly the same. So we can say in here we don't write var, we just say result equals 0, and then return result, so we don't need to specify var. And then the syntax here is slightly different, but the concepts are the same, and this is why it's so important to just understand the concepts. So for n in AR, colon, results plus equals n. So if we run the code, you will see that this is quite similar to what we had before. And even though we are in another programming language, of course, the syntax changes a little bit. So you don't need the parentheses, for example, but it's quite similar. But we could also do something like this, sum AR. And if we delete this, in Python, this will also work. If I run the code, it also works. So in Python, this would be, if you are actually programming in Python, this would be like a simpler way for you to do this. You don't have to write all that code, but basically inside this function that is already available for you, basically this is what it does. So you can use both ways of programming. If there is already something in the standard library that already does this for you, you can use it. Otherwise, you just do it. You do the algorithm yourself. So in this case, for each number in the array, we add our number. And we have our problem solved. And now we can submit the code, and it will run more test cases. So it will run 3 test cases, and they all pass, and we finished our exercise. So success, everything passes. We have different test cases. Oh, this one is hidden. You can pay in this currency of HackerRank, but I will not do it. I don't need to check because it actually passed. So in case you are solving a problem where one test fails and you have no idea why it fails, you can actually unlock it and you can try to understand what's the problem. But this one is quite simple, so I will not pay to unlock this test. It's not needed. But here it is. It's quite simple. Of course, we can go to Python as well and also submit our solution in Python. We can even submit this solution because it's already available in the standard library. But you can also submit the one that we had before. So whatever you prefer, for n in AR, colon, result plus equals n. And that's it. So this that I just did, so I added more spaces. I just do it for the sake of clarity so that all the code is not like mixed together. I think it's clearer like this. You initialize the variable here, and then you leave a white space, and then you do your algorithm itself, and then you return the result. This is just my personal style. You can use whatever you prefer. We confirm that it's working, we can submit, and the test cases pass. And that's it. So this was the topic for today. So how to work with arrays. So arrays are data structures that appear over and over and over again. In the case of Python, they are actually called lists. So the standard concept of array, that is a limited size, so it's a fixed size. You cannot change the size of the array. Different languages have a bit more advanced versions of arrays where the size can actually change. In the case of Python, that's the case. So the standard array is not so much used in Python. And it's actually called a list, and in other programming languages would also be called a list in case you can change the size. So this is something that while you are learning different programming languages, you will get familiar with. And for the next session, maybe tomorrow, we will work on this compare the triplets. So if I open this one, I will change this back to Kotlin. So you can try to do this as a homework, and tomorrow I will give you the solution. And this exercise, this problem, will introduce you to the concept of comparisons. So the first problem was to introduce the concept of function, because basically that's what you will be using all the time. Functions with different parameters. In this case, for example, you have 2 parameters, 2 arrays. And the second problem that we just solved today was to introduce the concept of arrays and looping through the array. And this next exercise will introduce you to the concept of comparisons, being able to compare if something is bigger or not, or if it's equal, for example, compare if 2 numbers are the same, or if one is larger than the other. So this will be the topic for tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow, but for the next session, let's say. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That's quite important, and activate the notification bell in case you want to be notified of the future streams. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.